If you haven't heard, they are now setting Jewish people on fire in Boulder, Colorado, right outside Denver. Take a look.
We're here, brother. We're here. We can't do nothing about that. We can't do nothing.
We can!
Not here.
Not here, bro. You're not.
He's making Molotov cocktails.
Palestine is fighting. And for us,
Well, we can't do when he's got Molotov cocktails on.
if you are fighting, you have the
That's what he's got right here. Is Molotov
right there.
It's alcohol.
Molotov cocktails in hand. If he throws one of those at you, you'll set on fire. That's what it was in Boulder, Colorado. And we show you that video because we're not going to pretend it didn't happen, which is exactly what the rest of the media is trying to do right now. Let's talk about the big, beautiful bill instead, right? We're not going to do that because this happened here in America this weekend. An illegal alien set Jews on fire. One of the victims was an 88-year-old woman, a Holocaust survivor, meaning this poor woman survived Hitler and the Nazis 80 years ago, but she almost didn't survive Joe Biden's open border yesterday. Think about that. 80 years after the Second World War, a Jewish woman who survived Hitler in a concentration camp was almost burned to death here on U.S. soil. Hitler would be proud. The suspect, Mohammed Salman, there he is. He's an illegal alien who arrived here when Joe Biden was president. And these are the people that Democrats brought into this country, and these are the people that the next generation of Democrats in this country right now want to protect. Take a look.
You showed the world that MIT wants a free Palestine. Last spring, MIT's undergraduate body and graduate student union voted overwhelmingly to cut ties with the genocidal Israeli military. You called for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. And you stood in solidarity with the pro-Palestine activists on campus. You faced threats, intimidation, and suppression coming from all directions, especially your own university officials. But you prevailed because the MIT community that I know would never tolerate a genocide.
So that was at the MIT graduation this weekend, and that was the message from a girl who just graduated from one of the most prestigious universities on the planet. She also has absolutely no idea what she's talking about. Once again, Hamas is a terrorist organization, and the people of Palestine, the people who live in the Gaza Strip, they elected Hamas to lead them. The elected government in the Gaza Strip today is Hamas. They are in charge because they were elected to be in charge. And then on October 7th, Hamas, the elected government in the Gaza Strip, attacked Israel on a Saturday morning 20 months ago and brutally murdered 1,200 innocent people and took hundreds of hostages, including Americans. That's the truth. Donald Trump on Truth Social today. Yesterday's horrific attack in Boulder, Colorado will not be tolerated. The suspect came in through Joe Biden's open border and will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. This is yet another example of why we must deport illegal anti-American radicals from our homeland. My heart goes out to the victims of this terrible tragedy and the great people of Boulder, Colorado. Leah Terrell posting that one of the victims of the attack was a Holocaust survivor. She endured the worst evil in human history and came to America seeking safety. And now, decades later, she's victimized again by a terrorist screaming "Free Palestine." White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller posting that this, quote, terror attack was committed by an illegal alien. He was granted a tourist visa by the Biden administration, and then he illegally overstayed that visa. In response, the Biden administration then gave him a work permit. The suspect, Mohammed Salman, used a homemade flamethrower and staked out a weekly gathering of elderly people who are part of a group called Run for Their Lives. They weren't fast enough to run from this guy. They got together every Sunday and rallied for the safe return of hostages still being held in Gaza. And Mohammed Salman tried to kill every one of them while yelling "Free Palestine" and "Death to the Jews," while he tried to burn them to death. Yet the police chief in Boulder, this guy's got some sort of issue. He repeatedly made it clear yesterday, hours after it happened, that this was not an act of terrorism?
So I've been in contact with our local FBI multiple times. We are in contact with them here. We are not calling it a terror attack at this point. Again, it's way too early to speculate motive. I know there's a lot out there on social media, but I ask people just to give us a little bit of patience while we work through a really complex scene. A lot of witnesses were here. We've taken them to another location to debrief them and interview them. As we do that, I think the picture will become more clear. But it would be irresponsible for me to speculate on motive this early on.
No, it would be responsible of you not to forget about that. You've got a guy out there yelling death to the Jews and free Palestine, trying to burn Jews to death. You think it wasn't a hate crime? You think it's not a domestic attack? You think it's not terrorism? It is terrorism. Again, this is like Joe Biden's just fine for 4 years. Pretend you don't have eyes and a brain. I knew it was terrorism the second I saw the video, and I have absolutely no law enforcement training. It's common sense. It's coming back, but as you can see, it's not everywhere. The biggest newspaper in Colorado also going out of their way, they've got to print this, going out of their way to call this attack anything but what it was, an act of terrorism. Here's the headline: what we know about the Pearl Street Mall attack in Boulder. Oh, really? Like it's just a little fight at the shopping mall. Not a pro-Hamas, anti-Jewish Egyptian illegal alien using a flamethrower and Molotov cocktails to try and burn Jewish people alive. Right, Denver Post? Nothing like that, right? MSNBC yesterday also going out of their way to make sure the public was aware of the suspect's skin color, which of course they got wrong.
There's an individual that's taken into custody. He's a white male.
Yeah, he wasn't, okay? He's an Egyptian illegal alien. And this attack comes just 10 days after the gruesome murder on May 21st of 2 Israeli embassy workers in Washington, 26 and 28 years old, by another pro-Palestinian terrorist who also yelled, "Free Palestine," repeatedly. The murders were brutal. The suspect shot that young couple 21 times at close range. The attack yesterday also coming almost 2 months to the day after another pro-Palestinian terrorist tried to burn down the home of Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, a Democrat who also happens to be Jewish. Chuck Schumer, the most prominent Jewish politician in America, finally saying something. Chuck, here's his tweet. When anti-Semitism is allowed to fester, when it spreads unchecked, and when too many people look the other way, it leads to hatred, violence, and terror. On the one hand, at least Chuck is finally saying something. On the other hand, he didn't say anything condemning anti-Israel terrorists, or the Joe Biden open border, or anti-Semitism in this country, which is now at unprecedented levels, according to CBS News, because the people carrying out these crimes are all Chuck's people. The new coalition of the Democratic Party in 2025, anti-Israeli college radicals, Jew-hating radicals, illegal aliens, and terrorists, all Democrat voters, all Democrat supporters. These are not Trump supporters. So my question, who's the real Nazi party now? For 10 years, since Donald Trump came down that golden escalator, we've been told that Donald Trump was Hitler and that MAGA Republicans were Nazis. And we think it's important to point this stuff out because maybe it was Democrats all along who were the Nazis doing Nazi stuff. Look at this guy and look at this. The suspect yesterday burning Jews in front of the Boulder courthouse, which was proudly displaying not just a pride flag, a trans pride flag. He entered the U.S. in 2022 illegally, meaning once again, innocent Americans are suffering because of the policies of Joe Biden, who welcome monsters like this shirtless idiot to come into this country and commit a crime that never should have happened. This never should have happened yesterday. And Joe Biden's auto pen was apparently still in operation yesterday because he was able to tweet this. Jill and I are praying for the victims of the violent targeted attack on the Jewish community in Boulder. We must stand united against anti-Semitic violence and hate. Joe, this is because of you, Joe. This attack is because of you. This guy came into the country on your watch and you gave him a work permit. This is your fault. The Anti-Defamation League stating today that we are, quote, witnessing a global campaign of intimidation and terror deliberately directed against the Jewish people. Sadly, none of this is surprising. In fact, it's entirely predictable. And it is. Sadly, what we're seeing right now is predictable, but it doesn't have to continue. And the terror from the Joe Biden years that has cost innocent Americans their safety, their peace of mind, their peace in their lives has got to stop.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.